Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthy Team Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Erickson, and this is the show where we dive into the real stories behind thriving workplace cultures, exploring everything from wellness and morale to leadership and productivity. Today on the Healthy Team Podcast, we're joined by Leeland Ekstrom, CEO and co-founder of NashBio, a company that helps life science companies accelerate the discovery of new therapeutics and diagnostics. Leland brings a really interesting blend of scientific rigor, leadership, and business strategy. And he has a PhD from MIT and was before that at McKinsey Company. So fantastic background, Leland. Very excited to have you here with us today. Leland, welcome to the show. And anyways, would you mind just introducing yourself and maybe just sharing with us a little bit about the type of work that you and your team do at NashBio?
Sure. Great to be here, Mark. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I think you did a great job just kind of touching on the major points of my background. As you noted, I did a PhD in biomedical engineering, specifically in health science and technology. I was focused in neuroscience, studying how different parts of the brain work, and spent about 5.5 years doing that through grad school. When I got to the end of my PhD program, decided I wanted to jump out into something a little bit more applied and tangible. And so I spent a number of years at McKinsey Company, working in their pharmaceutical practice, and that's what led me to get connected to the folks at Vanderbilt Medical Center, which is where NashBio came out of. So we were founded in 2018 timeframe, specifically with the goal of helping make complex healthcare data easy to use. It's the kind of the North Star we've used over the ensuing 7 or 8 years from the founding of the company. And specifically what that means is we work with large health data sets derived or generated in the provision of healthcare at a place like Vanderbilt, things like de-identified electronic health record data, and then genomic data derived off of clinical blood samples collected from clinical care and then ultimately sequenced or genotyped. We take those two different data types together and use them for a wide range of analytic applications kind of all along the R&D pipeline within the pharmaceutical space. So things like helping to identify new drug targets, which are the specific spots in the body that a drug may target in order to cure a disease. We try to understand how patients may respond to specific therapeutics as they're being developed. We can help optimize clinical trials, doing things like protocol design, and then ultimately trying to understand and study how drugs can be used in the real world setting after they're launched to market. So things like health economics and cost effectiveness types of questions, understanding which drug might be better than drug A or drug B, or how a specific treatment of a patient population may modify. And so wide range of uses, and that's where kind of the complex healthcare data easy to use moniker comes from, that knowing which pieces of data to use at which time, how to deal with some of the uncertainties in real world data, things like missingness and all the other ways that this data is or all the factors that go into generating this data. That's what the team at NashBio is able to help customers navigate.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you. Leland, you've gone from MIT to McKinsey to leading a healthcare data company. What moments in your journey kind of shaped your passion for bridging science and business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, really, it's what I'm doing at NashBio right now is a nice culmination of several of those different periods in my background. Went into grad school quite excited about the opportunity to help develop new knowledge and push back the frontiers of science. Spent my time at MIT studying imaging related applications, as I said, in neuroscience, and really the technical challenges of making some complex experiments work properly. But then it was that what led me to reach out and find other opportunities was a desire to have a little bigger impact than just being able to publish a paper or help inform textbook updates. So moving over to McKinsey, for those not familiar, McKinsey is a management consulting firm where we help a wide range of clients solve a wide range of problems in simple terms. And what that means is basically you can be deployed in any number of different directions at any given time. And so really building in a flexibility an ability to work with uncertainty, and as well as then a number of the skills I took from my graduate program, things like dealing with complex problems, learning how to segment and segregate and break things down into more manageable chunks, and then a very methodical manner, try and go about solving those problems. And so kind of the fusion of those two things, what NashBio has been able to deliver is definitely the scientific elements move back towards the scientific direction with the founding of NashBio. But really, we've been anytime launching a new business, but really helping building a new market, having to deal with some of the exact things in McKinsey in terms of flexibility and uncertainty and making decisions with limited information, creativity, and building team building, helping people figure out ways to get an organization moving all together. Those have all been parts of the McKinsey training program that I've adopted and are taken into practice here at NashBio. And so I feel really, really privileged to be working at kind of the interface of, as you said, science and business, and being able to draw on the different parts of my background.
Fascinating. So you mentioned that a big part of the mission for NashBio is making complex healthcare data easy to use. Would you mind sharing an example of maybe like a real world change in drug development or diagnostics that's come from that?
Yeah, it's anybody familiar with the R&D, the drug R&D process knows the length of time and the amount of investment that it takes to bring one of these drugs to market. On average, I think the latest studies show something like $2 billion to bring a drug to market when you start accounting for all the failures along the way. And then 10, 15, 20 years of time. I mean, it's a bit hard to quantify that exactly just in terms of when did the knowledge that first led to the discovery of the inkling of a drug ultimately lead its way into a drug program. Here at NashBio, we've worked with more than 75 different companies over our history. So kind of very small companies all the way up to very large Fortune 500 large drug companies that folks are going to be familiar with from ads on TV and kind of their day-to-day experience. And I think for a lot of those cases, I'm trying to think what would be the best example. I mean, there's certainly some smaller examples where we've worked where like studying the launch of a new drug and trying to help understand how treatment paradigms change and whether the launch of the new drug has helped kind of change for the better the cost curve. So if you take into account the treatment of the launch of the new drug and the subsequent care utilized or not utilized over the course of the patient 2 or 3 years. So we worked with a company, a small health economics company a couple of years ago that studied exactly that problem in an exciting class of therapeutics called CAR-T drugs. We've done a number of different applications or a number of different projects trying to help understand patient populations and uncover new drug targets. Maybe the most prominent of those, we recently banded together with Illumina and a number of large pharma companies to whole genome sequence the almost 250,000 subjects in the biobank we have access to. So whole genome sequencing is the kind of the reading of the entire DNA code within a given number of subjects. 250,000 is obviously a very large number, so generating really incredible genomic data set. And then watching the partners then take those data and incorporate them into their drug discovery processes. So building specific cohorts where you're using all of that rich information from the electronic health record and really trying to understand what makes this patient different than that patient, or what makes this group of patients different than that group of patients. Why are some patients responding to a drug? Why are some patients not? Why are some patients progressing faster? Why are some patients maybe seemingly stalled in their disease progression, where stall is a good thing in this case, but really using both of those pieces to then help inform the discovery of new drug targets, which will guide subsequent development of the actual drug molecules themselves.
Wow. Leeland, what trends are you seeing in personalized medicine right now that you think might really change the game of medicine over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. Anyone who's been following the space, personalized medicine or precision medicine has been a term of art for a number of years now, and always a question of like, when does it really become kind of the primary mode of operation? In a lot of ways, it's what physicians do on a daily basis, anyways, right? That's what the doctor is sitting there trying to do, is understand your specific problem and really match you with the best treatment. What we're seeing more and more, though, is we're getting better at developing drugs that are going to have those characteristics. So what's called a biomarker or companion diagnostic coming on board, where you can in advance determine if you're more likely or less likely to benefit from that specific therapeutic. And that at its core is, I think, what a lot of people in this space would think of as precision medicine. So in terms of trends, what we're seeing right now is certainly just a real proliferation of data, and that's obviously where NashBio sits, that the amount of data that we generate from, whether it's from health systems, through things like NashBio and our partnerships with Vanderbilt Medical Center, really just ever richer and ever growing data sets. There's a number of other resources really around the world that have come online that offer a lot of the similar characteristics of NashBio. So things like the UK Biobank in the United Kingdom, the All of Us program here in the United States, and similar initiatives really around the world, and the number of private enterprises like NashBio. And so just ever growing richer data sets, which were the benefit of which is we're really able to study the patient populations more accurately. We're able to customize those studies more so to the specific time points in disease, specific ancestries in the case of different populations around the world. Maybe some diseases are more prevalent in specific people with specific ancestral background than not, or differential response between those populations. And so just that growth and proliferation of data is definitely one thing that is helping drive the field forward. And is only going to help over the next couple of years. And then certainly just the growth of analytics tools, particularly over the past couple of years, is something that we're also quite excited about. We're obviously all familiar with kind of the current building wave in artificial intelligence, whether it's the large language models or generative AI. For us, we see the most utility at the moment in terms of extraction of information from all these different data sources. So think of a large language model, applying that to something like an electronic health record, where we're greatly accelerating the speed at which we're able to extract information and insights from those underlying health records. And so what used to take a team of clinicians working for NashBio maybe multiple weeks, we're able to do in a matter of days or a matter of hours if we're really able to push it. And we're really trying to assess kind of what the accuracy and validity of that information is, understand the use cases, but just the power of those tools coming to the forefront, and the scale at which we're able to, instead of working on maybe a patient cohort of a handful of subjects, you're now able to work on thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subjects simultaneously with some of these tools. And then as we get ever more, you kind of bring those two things together, as we get ever more complex data sets, I think using some of these tools to start to manage all these different dimensions. So you have the clinical data layers, you have all these molecular data layers, things like genomics, proteomics, which is the study of the proteins in the body, and several other different layers. And that's where, as you start to accumulate these massive multidimensional data sets, having these analytic tools available to really help digest and sort through them is going to become kind of table stakes. It quickly surpasses what the human mind is able to process and connect the dots on and look for patterns for. So we're excited about that and incorporating that into our day-to-day work at NashBio.
Absolutely. With Leeland, with so much innovation in the field, how do you and your team at NashBio stay focused and grounded? I mean, everything is moving so fast now, right?
Yeah, I think it comes down to what's the mission of the company, and how do we think we're going to best accomplish that? And really, it goes back to the way I first introduced NashBio, that making complex healthcare data easy to use, but that has a real customer-centric component embedded in that. That really came from my training at McKinsey, that a very dedicated focus on customer orientation. The customer can't use what you're providing for them, or they don't understand it, or it's not tailored to their specific problem. It's not all that useful. And so in evaluating all of these new tools and kind of expanding data sets, we go back to that as a first principle. Is this actually going to help us serve the customer better? Are they going to be able to do we understand it so we can help them understand it? And does it have utility in that regard? Example of that, we did a large strategy refresh for the company about a year ago, and spent a considerable amount of time interviewing our customers. Where is this field headed over the next 3 to 5 years, so that we can help better build our own product lineup in that regard? And that voice of customer element, that direct feedback from customers is critical to making those decisions. Because otherwise, you run the risk of building something that the market isn't interested in or isn't going to reward. And so that real focus just on customer need and making sure that we're actually solving a problem the customer has and is willing to pay us for, ultimately, is the other piece of it. But if you don't do that, then yes, it's quite easy to get distracted by the next shiny object and go off down a tangent that's not going to serve you.
Right. With what are some of the principles that you follow to to create such a high-performing team at NashBio?
So we're a virtual company. I've always been based in Colorado. NashBio we founded in Tennessee and in Nashville. It's Nash is short for Nashville in that regard. And so we had the benefit when we launched the company of designing in that orientation. And when the pandemic hit in 2020, we actually made that shift fairly seamlessly to kind of complete virtual model. And so what that's allowed us to do since then is really find the best talent wherever it is in the country. So we have people scattered all over the U.S. and then also some folks in Europe at this point as well. For a small company, and certainly 7, 8, 10 years ago, even the early days of NashBio, being able to tap the different resources we've got and asking them to move to Nashville, as would have been the historic model, would have been a challenge. That being able to get access to some of these people where they are and being able to plug them in to the NashBio model. Certainly, the virtual style of interaction does create its own challenges. And so, how do you build familiarity? How do you build alignment amongst a vision? And that's where making use of obviously some of the best digital tools that are available, whether it's things like the Google Meets and Zoom that we're all familiar with, various in-house tools, things like Slack, and even just getting people together on a Zoom for not necessarily direct work opportunity, but being able to build camaraderie and familiarity. We put a high priority on that. We do try and get people together as often as possible. So whether it's a small team that gets together maybe on a quarterly basis, we as a leadership team get together fairly regularly as well, or bringing the entire company together. And we try and do that about twice a year. And just it's obviously the efficiency of Zoom and Google Hangout or Google Meets and whatnot. It's harder to build those relationships. So we try and balance those two characteristics of kind of that efficiency of being able to get talent around the world with then being able to help people build familiarity and get to know each other. Because if you don't know the people you're working with, it's a lot harder to be trusting and also spontaneous and creative with them. So those are some of the strategies we've deployed so far. We're constantly learning from those experiences, and also learning from other virtual organizations as about meeting other CEOs and other folks running companies of our size or our nature. That's one of the questions I often ask: is what strategies do you employ to help maintain cohesion and direction, and are there tools that we haven't yet figured out, or practices? So it's kind of a constant learning model as well, that not being so bold to say we've got everything figured out, but being open-minded. There may be other opportunities and other source of information. That is just the people that we hire as well. Hey, are there practices you've seen from some of your past employers that worked well? Things that we should consider adopting. So that's often another source of information and input that we try and tap.
So you mentioned that you live in Boulder currently. How is living in Boulder, how's that influenced your own personal approach to balance, leadership, or wellness?
It's for those who haven't been to Boulder, Colorado before. It's a beautiful environment, kind of nestled right up next against the mountains. We live a few blocks away from just incredible outdoor resources, and it does help breed a balance in that regard. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, get outside and enjoy, unplug at times. I've got a couple good professional contacts here in Boulder where they insist on walking meetings. So if we want to get connected or get reconnected, we'll go for a hike somewhere here in the local environment rather than sitting on a phone call or otherwise. So just it's that access to the outdoors that I think draws many of us here to Colorado, and so finding ways to incorporate that into our day-to-day, at least my day-to-day working style. It's also an attractive place for people to come visit. So we've had some leadership events where we've brought people here to Colorado to show off some of the local environments of obviously ski destinations up in Summit County. There's a number of new facilities being built in Boulder here shortly, and so I'll be excited to bring the NashBio leadership team here. But again, just that idea of unplugging, or not everything has to happen on a screen. Even though I highlighted and extolled some of the virtues of those tools, finding ways to maybe fuse the real world with the virtual world has been definitely a part of the experience I've tried to live.
Beautiful. Leeland, if healthcare could become radically more personalized and data-driven over the next 10 years, what excites you most about that future?
Like I commented earlier, the precision medicine is really the way that most physicians would say they're trying to treat their patients today, but actually being able to deliver on that promise. When you think of the number of therapies, the number of diagnostics that maybe are mismatched, or sorry, the number of therapies that are maybe mismatched with the patient, the number of non-responders, so to speak, or don't work as well as they could. If you could truly understand, I mean, think of an example where you could know everything there is to know about a particular patient, and then almost in real time tailor or customize the perfect therapeutic for them, such that you're going to solve the problem with high degree of certainty. I mean, that'd be an incredible value for the patient and for the system as a whole. We're already starting to see some of those things, right? For those who followed CRISPR therapeutics and some of the growth of the gene therapies, like we are starting to get in that direction where it's like truly personalized medicines, where it's like it's customized exactly for that individual. And CRISPR would be a good example with the treatments that launched for sickle cell about a year ago, where it basically more or less completely reverses the condition. So imagine we could do that in a large number of therapeutic areas, a large number of diseases, not just those highly specialized ones where we've already accumulated that knowledge. 10 years is probably a horizon. That's probably too soon a horizon to say we can do that in every therapeutic area, but certainly it's going to be a gradual and hopefully accelerating growth across disease areas. But just that opportunity to really make an impact for the patient and be able to solve their specific problem, I think that's what guides us all in this space.
So, Leeland, for maybe some of our young professionals or even a student who might be watching, who might have an interest in combining science, technology, and business as you have, what advice might you offer to somebody like that?
That's a good question. I think go into whatever experience, whether it's educational or work experience, go into it with an open mind. And that especially as a young person, I think it's really hard to predict what path exactly you're gonna find the most utility and enjoyment from. When I started my undergraduate education, so I was in an engineering program. I had a notion about grad school, but it wasn't until I got involved in a couple of different research labs during my bachelor's degree that I really started to understand what modern scientific research looked like. It got me excited about grad school. Going into grad school, I think my career plan at that point had been to carry on with the academic route and go on and further a career in research. But it was through, again, kind of that open-minded approach, trying different things. I tried to have a lot of different experiences during grad school. I got involved with some of the student groups at MIT. Got to meet a wide range of folks and really experience a number of different things. And that really broadened my horizon. That's where I came in contact with folks who ended up heading towards management consulting as a career. Didn't really know much about it before the end of my grad school program. And as I started asking more questions about it, it's kind of that opportunity for continuous learning and not being pinned down on any one thing. But it goes back to that open-minded aspect. Towards the end of my time at McKinsey and got connected to the opportunity at Vanderbilt, didn't really know what was going to come about it, and certainly could not have predicted it. What NashBio coming to fruition when I first started at a place like McKinsey, or even much earlier, and again attribute that to an open mindset. So it's so hard to predict at each one of those milestones what's going to be what's going to lead to the most satisfaction. So try and soak it in as much as possible, and whatever experience you're currently in the middle of, go into it with an open mindset. You don't know where it's going to lead you, and that's kind of the beauty of a serendipitous career in that regard.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you again, Leeland Ekstrom, for joining us and sharing your insights and building healthy teams and telling us about what you do at NashBio. Before we wrap up, could you let our listeners know where they might be able to connect with you online, and also where they could find out more information about NashBio?
Sure. So easiest place to find out more info about NashBio is our website, www.nashbio.com. Very simple URL in that regard. We have a lot of information up on the website about what we've done, examples of different work we've done over the years, as well as some of the new data products that we're in the process of building. We didn't get too deep into what actually we offer at NashBio, but we've got a lot of information up on the website, particularly some of the ways that we are thinking of of simplifying data, of packaging up different types of data and making it more accessible, as well as bundling it with some of the resources we have here at the team. So invite people interested in finding out more to check out our website. I have an active presence on LinkedIn, so if folks want to connect with me directly, please feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. Always happy to have a chat virtually. And if you happen to be here in Boulder, grab me. We'll go for a hike.
Awesome. Well, I love that. And, a lot of people talk about standing meetings. The only thing better than that is a hiking meeting.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Love that. Have to take you up on that someday, Leeland.
Sounds good.
But thank you so much for your time today, Leeland. Truly a pleasure to meet with you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Healthy Team Podcast. And as always, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe and share the podcast with anybody on your team or anybody who is passionate about building great workplace culture. We'll be back soon with more conversations to help you build stronger, healthier teams. And until next time, stay well and lead well. Thank you.